2, we look at the customer lifecycle, and we begin with Lesson 1 on acquisition. Learning objectives, acquisition. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to define what is customer acquisition, identify the different marketing channels and their benefits, identify the techniques to choose the right marketing channels for the right end goals, discuss how to leverage big data and automation for customer acquisition. Defining what is customer acquisition. In this lesson, you will learn about the first stage of the customer lifecycle, acquisition. We will discuss how you can identify the right audience and attract them to your website or other owned media. Your acquisition strategy will find the best mix of media and engagement tools to gain new customers with relevant marketing messages, be it online or offline. Different marketing channels and their benefits. Top marketing strategies for acquisition. A frequent question from marketers is which tactics or channel is best for acquiring new customers. Observing the digital analytics data of any website reveals a host of information about the source of traffic. Typically, organic search, the result of SEO, search engine optimization, is a leading source of traffic. When people search on Google, for example, they might search for generic terms or specifically for your brand. But when people don't know your brand, how do you reach them through digital marketing strategies? Search engine optimization for proper generic terms is certainly one of the most popular approaches. Pay-per-click campaigns are also an effective way to increase visibility. Affiliate and co-marketing initiatives, sponsorship, co-branding, link building can, for some industries, be very effective. Other online advertising such as site-specific media buys and specialized ad network, and of course social media marketing are among the most frequent tactics to acquire a new audience. There's a ton of opportunities and ways to execute your marketing strategy. This graph shows a highly general overview. Your mileage may vary. So how do you know? Look at the data. Techniques to choose the right marketing channels. Most effective marketing channels. In this example, we show Google Analytics data for a startup which needs to gain visibility. The questions we are trying to answer is, which channel is most effective at acquiring new potential customers? First, we change the default metric from users to new users because we are interested in a new audience. We see paid search and organic search both represent about 20% each, followed by display, a paid channel. This company is investing with paid media on a number of channels, display, paid social, paid search, but also gain visibility from other channels, organic search, social, and referral, and work with influencers, a custom-defined channel. Direct is a special case, presumably people who came directly to the site, so they must have heard about the website address somewhere else. Offline channels such as radio, magazines, and such, but it could be caused by technical limitations such as cookie deletion, technical tracking issues, privacy setup, or simply the inability of Google Analytics to determine a source of traffic. Notice at this point, we're not even asking if one channel is more effective at converting those visitors, but we will cover this a bit later in our customer lifecycle. This represents a very high-level overview of acquisition channels, and of course, the results are likely very different for your own organization. From this high-level overview, we can drill down and leverage other data, such as looking specifically at Google AdWords campaign performance. We can also look at AdWords campaign aimed at brand building. Here it is important to remember to make a distinction between campaigns that are very generic, like electronics or apparel, versus campaigns that are mentioning your brand. For example, is the person searching for tampering-proof computer bag or Google computer bag? Consider the acquisition cost. How much do you have to spend in advertising, discounts, incentive, closing costs, and other expenditures in order to gain a new customer? So the key metrics here that you want to look at is the cost per click, So how much does it cost to get one people to click on your ad? And the cost per acquisition. How much does it cost to actually get a conversion from this ad? On top of campaign data, we even have cost data and the cost to acquire a new visitor, and eventually the cost of sale. But if you are just starting, how do you determine which channels and tactics are to use? That's what we'll see next. The way to organize your marketing mix and the weight and budget you will give to each channel and each tactics will vary. So one of the questions we get asked most often is, do you have a benchmark? Which channel is best for such and such? You can actually find benchmarks for some industries and numerous claims of outstanding results, but you should benchmark against yourself. And there are 3 points to remember if you want to do that. First is, to know your customer, you first need to know your business. For example, what are your key unique selling points? Who are your target audience, and do you know their profile, their interest, their behavior? Have you carried out a competitor analysis to gauge where your organization is in the marketplace and feed into what value your business adds to the customer? Constantly experiment. Based on your customer profile, acquisition channel can be chosen to match their needs and wants. Social media is one route if your customer base are active on Twitter or Facebook. Search engine provide another avenue if your target audience are active searchers. Use multiple strategies, combining tactics with key performance indicator attach and measurement methods in place should enable your organization to learn more about your customers and focus your acquisition strategy. Experimentation and measurement will reveal more about your customer as time goes on. More about their demographics, their behavior, and the average lifetime value. Using this data will inform the acquisition techniques most likely to drive business success. So the first point relates to personas. The second to a digital culture open to change and learn. And the third clearly touches on digital analytics. On this last point, your web analytics data is literally a gold mine, as we see from the search terms report on the next page. The Search Console queries reports reveals the search terms people use and if your own website is showing up in results, the number of impressions, and if they click on the links. This organic search, as opposed to paid search we've seen in the previous report. So digital analytics is an invaluable source of information, but manually perusing all this data would be time and human intensive. Thankfully, there are technologies to automate many aspects of optimization. Leveraging big data and automation for customer acquisition. Marketing automation and big data. Marketing automation and big data are closely related. The two together create an effective way to collect, sort, and gain insight from thousands of data points, millions of data points about customers, marketing campaigns, and products or services. As you can imagine, with the proliferation of solutions, it is getting very difficult to delineate various products features, let alone define your own needs. For example, G2 Crowd, a provider of user reviews and tools to assess solution fit, offer a ranking of leading marketing automation software. Here, regardless of company size, G2 Crowd positioned up as a leader with a high user satisfaction rate. Each of those products offer customer relationship management, marketing automation, campaign management, lead management, and other tools to manage campaigns on mobile, social, web, and of course, make extensive use of big data technologies and machine learning. Admittedly, terms like big data, machine learning, marketing automation are sometimes bloated buzzwords. In our context, is the underlying technology, and machine learning is what makes the most sophisticated marketing automation possible. We can look at two examples for CRM and marketing automation. The first example is this one. A website visitor becomes a lead through a white paper landing page. The person fills out the form and downloads the white paper. 2 weeks later, they follow the company on LinkedIn and Twitter. Now what happened? In the past, these two actions, even if they are very relevant to each other, would have been two very different things. The lead would have been placed in a bucket based on their white paper download, but their social actions would have gone largely unnoticed. With the right data and marketing platform, it's now possible for those social interactions to trigger all sorts of new campaigns and touchpoints. Companies can start to create entire campaigns around leads who have engaged with them on multiple platforms. This is just barely scratching the surface. This scenario is very common, a total disconnect between touchpoints happening on various channels. Let's look at the second example. The second example is about lead generation, content marketing, and automation. Suppose a brand's latest Twitter campaign is generating an increased level of activity, so there are more retweets, more likes, more comments, but it also generates a higher than usual number of leads. For a long time, metrics around lead generation and social media were quantified independently. Today, not only can brands attribute leads to social channels with extreme precision, they can also pinpoint what type of content, subject matter, generate said activity. With this data, brands can segment leads based on content preference and move them along the buyer journey with offers that are directly related to what interested them in the first place. In both scenarios, you can see there's nothing special about it. Those actions are engaging potential customers. At the end of the day, we're still talking about email sends, social media campaigns, content marketing, etc. Pretty basic stuff. It only becomes a game changer when those actions are triggered based on specific, unique, and proprietary data. This is what big data and marketing automation allow. It also reinforces we should view the customer journey as a series of touchpoints on different channels. Key takeaways. The key takeaways from this lesson are: acquisition is the first step of your customer lifecycle. This is typically where brand awareness campaigns play a major role. Pick the right marketing channel combination to achieve the desired business outcomes. Some are more effective than others for specific tasks, and plenty of data is available to guide your approach. It is important to know your customers, to experiment constantly, and to combine multiple strategies to build a strong customer acquisition strategy for your organization. Marketing automation and big data are fueling today's complex multi-device, multi-channel customer journey. In lesson 2 of our customer lifecycle, we look at engagement. Engagement learning objectives. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to define what is customer engagement, recognize how customer gets engaged through content and functional features, discuss micro-conversions and the metrics used for its measurement, identify how remarketing is an important strategy of engagement. When we think of engagement, the first thing that comes to mind is often content. Defining what is customer engagement. Engagement refers to the ability to move the needle from mere curiosity and interest toward a purchase intent. In this lesson, you will learn how customer engagement is an important aspect of the customer lifecycle and the step that ultimately should lead to a conversion. Top marketing strategies for engagement. We touched briefly on search engine optimization under acquisition, and we bring it back here since content, in all its shape and form like images and videos, product descriptions and reviews remain the most critical element which can convince people to convert. While engagement used to be only or mostly about content, now the concept has grown to be a much more complex mix of technical site architecture and performance, as well as off-the-page attributes such as trust, history, level of interaction, and many more, each of which will impact how your content ranks in search results. And as shown in the periodic table of SEO success factors created by Search Engine Land. While we talk about SEO, we can demystify two terms you might have heard. Black hat SEO aims to break or circumvent the algorithm, essentially cheat the system to rank higher in search results, while white hat experts primarily target the human audience instead of the algorithm. If you aim to engage with your audience, if you are customer-centric, you will win in the long run. While visitors of your website consume information about your company and your products, data can reveal how much they are engaged. What are the signals of customers' engagement? Now that you've gained attention from prospective customers, how do you entice them with the right offer? Engagement is demonstrated in various ways, which can be measured. They came to the site and didn't go away immediately, so the metric for that is the bounce rate. They viewed a number of pages on your site, so we have the number of page views. They stick around long enough, so we have the duration of a session. They do something that signals a greater interest level, so you can track them with events and goals. If we contrast new versus returning users, we see that returning users are more engaged. They consume more pages per session, they spend more time on the site, and they have a lower bounce rate. What is shown here is what we could call Web Analytics 101, but the intricacies of user engagement can be measured more efficiently, as we see next. Customer engagement through content and functional components. Functional components of apps and websites. Measuring engagement through soft metrics like sessions and page views, bounce rate, time on site is a bit risky. There are many scenarios where these metrics could lead to misleading interpretation. Over the years, we have found there are a number of functional patterns on websites and apps. For example, there's often some promo items on the homepage of your website. Many sites have a site search feature, sometimes with advanced parameters. There's a newsletter subscription workflow. You can create an account and sign up. There are some ways to contact us. A build and price tool to help you choose the best configuration. There are social follow links. And for e-commerce, there's obviously a shopping cart and a purchase workflow. Why do you have all of those functional elements on your website? To entice people toward a conversion, of course. If you look at your website, can you identify specific content or actions visitors can take, which would be indications of progressing toward conversion? Micro-conversion. Micro-conversions. Some of those small steps toward conversion can be qualified as micro-conversions. A micro-conversion is a small step on the path of a user toward your primary conversion goal, a business objective. Marketers often confuse the immediate goal of an action on a website, which might be a call to action of their marketing campaign, with the actual business goal, which represents the core business. Sometimes campaigns aim to increase results for a micro-conversion, knowing those will eventually lead to an increase in business conversions. Any action that demonstrates positive progress toward an end business goal can be considered a micro-conversion. Sharing a product page link on social media isn't a purchase, but maybe for you, it might be considered a micro-conversion because it demonstrates intent. Some examples of micro-conversions are viewing a product page as opposition to just any other page on the website. Signing up for your newsletter might be a good micro-conversion. Creating an account, downloading a white paper, following you on or sharing on social media. And those micro-conversions are often measured as goal completion, completed steps of a funnel, and of course, the conversion rate of those specific activities. The expression in English that can best describe this is moving the needle or making a significant difference. Using your Web Analytics platform, you can look at the goals and measure micro-conversions. In this case, we're looking at a Google Analytics report where we see channels on the left and three major groups of metrics: for acquisition, behavior, and conversion. Under acquisition, we have basic metrics like how many users came to the site, how many of them were new users, and how many sessions that represents. Under behavior, we have the basic metrics of bounce rate, page per session, and session duration. The third group is interesting because we can define a specific goal for what we consider to be an engaged user. In this case, we can contrast and compare different channels' efficiency to actually lead to a desired outcome. If we look again at our acquisition and channel reports, we have identified what are the relevant signals of engagement. You can even define a goal for engaged users. In this example from the Google Merchandise Store, we see actually that organic search brings most users, but somehow referral has the lowest bounce rate, higher page per session, and the longest session duration. The custom defined engagement indicator is the highest. Isn't this interesting? What does it tell us? Again, your web analytics solution is where you will uncover a goldmine of useful information to optimize your digital marketing campaigns. Sometimes the engagement can be fairly high before we can even expect a conversion. Retargeting. Retargeting. If you can identify visitors who have accomplished something specific on your site but haven't completed your primary objective, you can remarket to them with a targeted offer on other sites they visit. This powerful marketing tactic leads to a reduced cost per impression, better conversion rates, improved return on investment, more precise targeting of your audience, and cost-effective branding. This can be done through Google Display Ads, for example. Once a specific user action is detected, you can specify the targeting criteria and launch a specific campaign for this audience. You know, when you feel an ad follows you everywhere you go on the web, this is often the result of retargeting. Marketers using this tactic should avoid overexposure and set a maximum exposure or a delay. There should also be a way to identify when the user has converted and stop trying to sell them. Instead, service them or grow the share of wallet. Remember, a marketing campaign should always be tied to desired outcome, which can be measured. Here's a fairly complex example of engagement. Many websites offer some kind of product configurator. Think of mobile phone services, travel, automotive, or as in this case, a super cool off-road vehicles from BRP, the Can-Am Off-Road. For BRP Can-Am, even if you can't purchase online, you can still configure your dream machine. As with the automotive industry, the actual purchase decision is often done online. All that is left is to go to the dealership and confirm your purchase. Consequently, the sales process is now very different for car dealers. Consumers often come in with a very high level of expectations. They want clear answers and are very well informed. Such a process should lead to contact your nearest dealer, save your dream machine, print it, share it, love it. But there's more to this. Have you ever configured your dream car, then realized it was way too expensive? What do you do next? You make compromises. From a marketing standpoint, knowing what I call the last compromise has a huge value, and passing it on to the dealer who will know exactly what to upsell can have a huge financial impact. From this example, the build your own process is a website conversion, the closest point to a business outcome, but obviously the real business conversion is an actual sale. So this concludes the section on engagement. Key takeaways. The engagement lesson key takeaways are: the engagement step of your customer lifecycle is where you need to demonstrate your product or service can answer your prospect customers' needs and desires. Mapping the content and functional components of your website or app against personas and the customer lifecycle will help you identify micro-conversion, which demonstrate progress toward conversion. A micro-conversion is a small step on the path of a user towards your primary conversion goal, a business objective. Leverage retargeting to reinitiate the communication with prospective customers who have accomplished specific action, but use this technique wisely. The third step of our customer lifecycle is conversion. Conversion learning objectives. In this lesson, you will learn more about what is considered the most important outcome of any marketing activity, conversion. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to define what is a conversion, discuss macro conversion and the metrics used for its measurement, discuss how marketing touchpoints play a crucial role in evaluating channel effectiveness, and explore conversion for various scenarios like non-e-commerce or subscription models. The top marketing strategies for conversion are remarketing, conversion rate optimization, and merchandising and personalization. Macro conversions. Macro conversions are clearly defined end goals that can actually impact the bottom line of your business. Some examples: conversions could be completing a purchase, generating a qualified lead, contacting you for support, or applying for a job. Those are measured with metrics like goals completions, transactions, revenue, average order value, and conversion rate. In short, the only end goal of any website is to create value along one of the ultimate goals we have seen earlier: increase revenue, reduce cost, increase satisfaction, which in turn will lead to profitability and long-term sustainability and survival. Of course, not every business is conducted online, but we should identify what is the closest indicator of conversion, always from a business standpoint. In this respect, subscribing to a mailing list or sharing on social media are usually considered to be micro conversions. They are too far away from the real desired business outcome. Whether your campaign leans toward brand marketing or direct response, it is very likely the user will have multiple touch points across multiple channels before actually converting. The role of marketing touchpoints in evaluating channel effectiveness. Assisted conversions. Assisted conversion is a concept that focused on touch points a customer goes through in the buying process. By default, the last touch point, the last click, will be credited for a conversion. This can obviously lead to an inflation of some channels to the detriment of others, obfuscating the fact that some marketing activities happen early on and were the ones that entice the user to come back again. Add cross-device to the equation, users using multiple devices like desktop, tablet, and mobile, and you end up with a complex mesh of channels and devices across any period of time. Looking at assisted conversion tells us if a given channel is most effective early in the process, doing brand awareness, or if it is the last touch point before conversion, the result of a direct response. In this example, we see display is most effective in assisting conversions, which shouldn't be a surprise since in this case, display was used for remarketing campaigns. On the other hand, paid search and social networks are most effective in bringing new traffic to the site. Now that we understand how certain channels assist conversion, we can look at the more sophisticated concept of attribution. Remember, we started with acquisition, then engagement. A campaign might be good at bringing new eyeballs on your website, but do they convert and generate value for your organization? Attribution is the science of assigning credit or allocating the value of a business outcome to the marketing touchpoint that a customer was exposed prior to their conversion. Ultimately, marketers want to understand the effectiveness of their campaigns, Bringing traffic to your website will only get you so far in your optimization process. Thus, we need to know which activities are more effective at converting. We have a good definition of attribution, but it can take many forms, as we see next. There are various attribution models. If you look at first interaction, it means your tactics are aimed more at awareness, upper funnel activities to attract new audiences. If you look at last interaction, it means your marketing tactics are focused on lower funnel activities, where maybe only a little incentive is required to convince the customer to make a conversion. Then there are variation. There's time decay, which is good when you want to customize based on your customer lifecycle duration. Position-based allows you to give more credit depending if they were early on in the process or later on in the process. Custom models are based on one of the default ones, but you can adjust the look back window, the number of days that you want to look back. You can adjust based on user engagement like time on site or page depth, or even apply complex rules of your own. Purists would say the only valid attribution model is one actually built from your data. Those solutions are typically fairly expensive in terms of investment, resources, and they also require more historical data. Solutions like Google Analytics 360 includes the possibility of creating data-driven models. Even with a data-driven model, attribution might seem closer to data exploration than merely picking one model and sticking with it. Let's see an example of that. With the help of the Attribution Model Comparison tool, we can compare and contrast various attribution models and refine our marketing mix. This is what it looks like for a given e-commerce website. In this example, we are using first interaction and last non-direct click for e-commerce transactions, showing the conversion and value sorted by change in conversion value. We see that display is much more effective as a direct response channel than a brand awareness one. Conversely, paid search is slightly more effective as a brand awareness channel. Of course, we don't have to work at the abstract channel level. We could drill down into specific source and medium, campaigns, and many other dimensions to answer such questions as, is Google or Bing better to do a paid search campaign aiming to increase revenue? You can also create your own custom attribution model, while others only believe in data-driven attribution models. Like the shoemaker's children who sometimes go barefoot proverb goes, even the Google merchandise store might have issues with their attribution. Even for a pure-play e-commerce website, there are many things to consider before you trust any attribution data. When you want to do attribution, you have to watch out for a number of challenges. Attributing return on investment of a specific touchpoint doesn't really reflect the customer lifetime value. Doing attribution also requires perfect marketing campaign taxonomy and tracking. Any failure will impact your attribution. It requires a way to identify the user as they use different devices or different browsers. The online to store transactions are more difficult to track. And the fact people use multiple screens and devices makes it even more difficult to track across digital and non-digital channels. We could say assisted is a quick, on-the-spot check, while attribution works at the campaign level and customer lifetime value would be at the customer level. The type of campaign also plays a role in how it affects attribution. Flighting versus continuity. Launching a quick, short campaign versus having a long-running campaign all the time. Do you want to run ads at a specific moment or run those ads at all time? Given the environment keeps changing, the user behavior, the technical tools, the competition is evolving, even your own website keeps changing. Some experts are now talking about attribution impossible. In the end, the reason you want to look at all this data is because you want to improve your media mix. Media mix modeling is the optimal combination of communication channels to meet marketing objectives. Media mix modeling answers the following questions. How much media is enough? When do you need to start advertising on a specific channel to a specific audience? Which medium is most effective? Is it better to use flighting or continuity? When are ads worn out? When do people don't pay attention to your ads? What is the best media environment to use? Conversion seems easier to track when it's an e-commerce site, but what about non-e-commerce or subscription-based conversion scenarios? Not every site is a pure e-commerce one. The concepts for those are actually surprisingly similar. So let's look at an example of this nonprofit organization called Naître et Grandir. It doesn't sell anything and has no revenue source online, no ads, no sponsorship, no e-commerce. They simply offer high quality content and receive money from a fund created by a local media mogul. What do they do right? They do extensive segmentation of their audience based on the month of pregnancy or baby's age. They use a variety of channels including web, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Pinterest. They give a voice to their audience through polls, surveys, comments, and ratings. They track users instead of simply tracking sessions. They leverage their web analytics platform to truly measure user engagement. They use a marketing mix which caters to new and existing users across different channels. And the majority of their traffic is coming through mobile and tablets. And all of this doesn't cost millions of dollars. It only requires a willingness to adopt new marketing models and be creative. In this case, this site even uses e-commerce features to measure what they consider to be their product, their articles. Now let's look at subscription best practices. A business model where customers must pay a subscription price to gain access to a product or service is a subscription model. It was pioneered by magazines and newspapers. This is now widely used in the digital economy. Think of Netflix, Spotify, or software as a service in general, or consumable subscription like the Amazon one-click, grocery, coffee, household products. The digital economy has enabled more subscription models. Your internet connection, your cell phone, listening to music on Spotify, and even in the physical world, getting a diversity of healthy food delivered at your doorstep by HelloFresh, for example. As we see, the 5 Ps are still very important, and the customer lifecycle would probably be slightly different. Conversion becomes subscription, and the concept of retention is even more important now. Key takeaways. The key elements to remember from the conversion lifecycle stage are: the conversion step of your customer lifecycle is where they finally agree to do business with you. The macro conversion. Better make it an easy and delightful experience. Macro conversions are clearly defined end goals that can actually impact the bottom line of your business. Understanding the various touchpoints through assisted conversions path and attribution will help you adjust your marketing mix accordingly. Regardless of the business model, the fundamentals of digital marketing remains the same. Mobile and Internet of Things. Every year since the commercialization of the first smartphone, pundits have claimed it to be the year of mobile. Now that there are smart Internet of Things devices all around us, Internet-enabled data-rich and oftentimes untapped marketing opportunities, albeit with their fair share of privacy and security risks. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to identify the best practices for mobile marketing, identify unique trends in the mobile technology landscape, identify the vast possibilities of the Internet of Things, discuss the risk and implication of IoT and mobile technologies. Mobile is a platform of its own. Mobile is not a channel, it's a platform of its own. Mobile albeit with their fair share of privacy and security risks. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to identify the best practices for mobile marketing, identify unique trends in the mobile technology landscape, identify the vast possibilities of the Internet of Things, discuss the risk and implication of IoT. Mobile is a platform of its own. Mobile is not a channel, it's a platform of its own. Mobile is now the dominant device. The latest surveys reveal it now represents 7 in 10 digital media minutes. It's not rare to see mobile and tablet accounting for well over 60% of the traffic to a website. Is your customer experience compatible or optimized for mobile and tablets? While many vendors in the customer engagement industry look at mobile as a communication channel for customers, most consumers do not. A convincing and mobile customer experience must leverage all channels available on a mobile device. So it is misleading to consider it a channel. Mobile is a platform. It's a platform of its own, not a channel, like paid search, banners, or affiliates. The same thing applies to tablets. Mobile marketing best practices. Let's look at some differences and best practice of mobile marketing. Mobile marketing best practice. Some marketing tactics specifically adapted for mobile are optimized for micro moments, short, specific user goals for people on the go. Use hyper-local marketing to connect with the right audience at the right time and the right place. Leverage social media marketing. People spend a huge amount of time on Facebook mobile. Use text and SMS marketing, but only if opted in. Incorporate QR codes, although this seems to be on a decline. Go paperless, send invoice by email. Send time-sensitive service alerts and notification. Use SMS-based coupons. Adopt Apple Passbook, Google Android Pay, Google Wallet, Amazon Pay, or one of those payment applications. Provide apps, mobile card, and membership benefits. Leverage augmented reality apps such as Pokemon Go, which was a tremendous success and great example of augmented reality. But there are also more serious applications like Google Sky Map for stars observation or Google Translate, ability to instantly translate what you are looking at, and of course, numerous applications in the tourism industry. Mobile trends. There are a number of mobile trends to watch for. We want to track users, not devices, and this is only possible through user authentication. So we want to provide incentive and value to entice people to log in and sign in. Major players like Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter makes it ubiquitous to have those users authenticated on their mobile device. We want to use progressive web application instead of native application. These techniques will gradually install the application as each of the features are being used. It's a much more effective way and more easily adaptable to mobile devices. Google is backing up projects like AMP, Accelerated Mobile Page, so that the user experience on mobile is actually faster. Marketing automation is obviously impacting the mobile world, and location-based marketing is super critical because your mobile phone has a GPS embedded in it. So you can actually find out where those users are, those customers are. There's a growth in voice search activation and voice recognition. And there's also a greater interest for mobile security and privacy. So as we see from these points, the mobile trends are overlapping with other aspects of today's digital marketing practice. Tracking users is relevant and useful regardless of the platform. And progressive web apps and AMP are the equivalent of today's modern, responsive, and fast-loading websites. Marketing automation is just across the board, and voice activation appears to be the next major milestone. And of course, security and privacy aren't unique to mobile. So let's look at an actual example of a low-tech yet powerful mobile approach. The Internet of Things devices. The Internet of Things, IoT, is the network of physical devices, vehicles, and other items embedded with electronics, software, sensors, and network connectivity which enables these objects to collect and exchange data. The most common form of IoT devices are the personal assistant like Amazon Echo, Google Home, and many others which can be activated by voice and can help with many common tasks. You can listen to music, get the weather forecast, hear the latest news, manage to-do lists and shopping lists, set up timers and alarms, call up your calendar, plan the evening restaurants or movie night, find answers on the web, hear jokes, call a cab, order food and stuff, control your smart home, book a vacation, learn something new, get recipe idea, play games. But there's a plethora of devices, some of them with dubious selling propositions, ranging from smart home device, key finder, security, lawn mowing robots, and a whole lot more. Obviously, some of those can't or shouldn't be used for marketing purposes, but they all share something in common. They all attempt to answer or create new consumer needs, are connected, and collect a ton of data. The advancements in technology are bound to transform the way we live and the way marketers do their work. In some ways, marketers are becoming data scientists. Embedded risks of automation and Internet of Things. The embedding risk of automation and IoT. The ubiquitous presence of connected devices also raises concerns for privacy and security. Vizio, which makes popular high-quality affordable TV sets, agreed to pay a $2.2 million fine. As it turns out, those TVs were busily tracking what their owners were watching and sending that data back to eager advertisers. Burger King is the first known case where a TV ad purposely triggered a home assistant device, Google Home in this case. The TV had cleverly said the magic words to wake up the Google Home device. "Okay Google, what is the Whopper burger?" If the device was close enough to the TV, it would happily answer the question and start reading a Wikipedia entry for the Whopper. Now, on top of logging your normal web activity, devices like Amazon Echo and Google Home also keep a crumb trail of queries except with snippets of your voice. In order to work, the mics of those devices are constantly on, but they only send a request once they get activated by the famous Alexa or OK Google triggers. Sounds cool or not, depending where you sit on the privacy scale. But remember, in case of an unfortunate event, marketers will have the difficult task of defending and reinforcing the brand positively. Privacy and ad blocking. So when the balance between marketers' desire to collect as much data as possible is not aligned with the consumer expectation of privacy, there's a growth in ad blocking tools. Digital marketing has often been associated with spying on user behavior and annoying ads. No wonder ad blocking is growing at a pace of 30% year over year, reaching 650 million devices in early 2017. The growth of ad blocking means traditional advertising strategies are not working anymore. We need to put more emphasis on relevance and value, and we need to personalize with a one-on-one experience. Key takeaways. The key takeaways for this lesson are as follows. Mobile is a platform, not a channel. Your marketing strategy should aim at providing a convincing and appealing mobile customer experience that leverages multiple channels available on mobile device. Mobile marketing is trading at a rapid pace, and understanding those trends can help marketers stay ahead of the competition. Internet of Things is an umbrella concept. Although it represents opportunities for new marketing scenarios, not all of them are relevant and appropriate. IoT also potentially introduce an unprecedented level of risk from a brand perception, privacy, and security perspective. In section 3, we look at marketing technology. In lesson 2 is about analytics. Digital marketing cannot be dissociated from digital analytics. The two go hand in hand to achieve efficiencies and demonstrate value. In this lesson, you will learn about analytics as an important technology in marketing. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to define the terms analytics and analysis, identify the 3 core components of successful analytics, understand the broad categories of metrics useful to marketers, recognize the complexity of digital analytics technology stack. What is analysis? It's the process of breaking a complex topic into smaller parts to gain a better understanding of it. If we understand the topic, we can measure it, and if we can measure, we can optimize. If you want to optimize your marketing campaigns or your business outcomes, you will have to understand how each small parts are contributing to the bigger picture. The goal is to make the complex simpler. Simply put, it's very difficult to optimize a single big thing by 100%, but you can more easily optimize 100 little things by 1%. With this approach, simpler, smaller, faster benefits leads to exponential outcomes. Measuring success through analytics. Now that we've looked at what is analysis, we can say that analytics is the science of analysis. But how do we define analytics exactly? Avinash Kaushik, who is well known in the industry, defines analytics as the analysis of qualitative and quantitative data from your website and the competition to drive a continual improvement of the online experience that your customers and potential customers have, which translates into desired outcomes. So this definition dates back from 2007. The Digital Analytics Association says web analytics is the measurement, collection, analysis, and reporting of internet data for the purpose of understanding and optimizing web usage. And this dates back to 2008. The way I define analytics is how an organization arrives at an optimal and realistic decision informed by data. And each of those words have their very important meaning. An organization can be a privately or publicly traded company. It can be a startup, a government, academic institution, or a nonprofit. It doesn't really matter. How an organization means that the how term means that we analyze or ask questions. We want to investigate. We want to arrive at a solution, so there's a process involved. And we want to balance the optimal and realistic. The optimal would be the best solution if there were no constraints, but the reality is that we have to factor in the different constraints. So we need to find a balance between optimal and realistic. It's informed by data. It's not necessarily driven by the data. The data is there to inform business decisions. And the data source doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter if it's from the web, from social media, from your sales data, or wherever it might be. The data source is not really important as long as the data is relevant and appropriate for your analysis. And the key term is decision. We want to make some changes. Otherwise, we're not really doing analytics. The 3 elements of analytics. Analytics requires 3 ingredients in order to lead to the greatest benefits. First, you need to understand the context. What is the problem you are trying to solve, or what opportunity you want to capture? Second, you will need to identify which type of data is available, be it from online web analytics or back office systems, quantitative or qualitative data like surveys, internal data or external data from census or competitive sources. And finally, even if best practices allow you to provide the initial output, they can only get you so far. To outperform or outsmart your competitors, creativity will lead to original solutions. Of course, managers set the right conditions and influence the components of creativity: expertise, creative thinking skills, and motivation. Let's look at some metrics which will fuel the marketer's creativity. Popular metrics amongst marketers and CMOs. There are liters of possible metrics to use. Here are a few categories of metrics popular amongst marketers and CMOs. Demographics and interest reports will help you understand your audience. Reach will measure your ability to reach and engage your audience segments. Channel effectiveness shows how people find you through paid, earned, and owned media. Engagement reveals how people interact with your content and talk to you through social media, ratings, reviews, comments, etc. Think of performance or any technical constraints which might come in the way of the user experience. And lead generation and conversion data represents the desired outcome from your marketing activities. Of course, revenue play a big role in financial viability. And don't forget satisfaction, which fuel long-term sustainability and growth. The tools of the trade. When it comes to digital analytics, they often act as the central hub for your behavioral data. But each social media platform also has their own analytics. There are a few market leaders like Google Analytics and Adobe Analytics, as well as a multitude of niche players. The leading platforms share a lot of similarities, and oftentimes it is difficult to delineate what are essential features from what are just nice to have that you might never use. Nowadays, the leaders also provide a whole suite of tools besides the core web analytics features. So the clear leaders are Google Analytics and Adobe Analytics, but there are many other solutions which will offer unique benefits, such as more personalized service, a greater focus on privacy, more marketing automation capabilities, or a stronger presence in some geographic areas. One thing is certain, the marketing technology landscape is very, very complex. Even the digital analytics stack is quite complex. Digital analytics stack example. As with the MarTech landscape discussed earlier, visualizing your digital analytics stack will help understand the complex links and ramifications of data within your organization and uncover untapped opportunities. This can be represented in multiple layers. First, the customer layer is where data is being collected, your web analytics solution, social media analytics, email campaign data, etc. Then comes the advertising layer, data from the advertising platform and campaign tracking tools that you're using. All this data is stored and manipulated in the analytics layer, where it can be combined with sales and CRM data. Machine learning and predictive tools are involved at the business intelligence layer. And finally, results are presented in dashboards and reports at the business rules layer. This mapping exercise should be done jointly with your IT and other people involved with the various layers of this simple model. The key takeaways from the analytics lesson are: remember, digital marketing can't be dissociated from digital analytics. While analytics is the science of analysis, analysis is the process of breaking a complex topic into smaller parts to gain a better understanding of it. Understanding the business context, leveraging data, and being creative will blend together to the marketer's advantage. Various demographics, reach, engagement, lead generation, conversion, and more metrics can be used to evaluate the marketing efforts and outcomes of your marketing initiatives. Your ability to leverage online behavior gathered with the help of web analytics tools combined with real business outcomes data from your back office system, will determine how far you can grow on the digital analytics maturity scale. The challenge of offline and online experience. We've talked a lot about digital marketing, but the reality is consumers don't make a distinction between their online and offline experience. They think of their brand experience as a whole. In this lesson, you will learn about the offline-online challenge in marketing. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to compare and contrast a channel-centric versus a customer-centric approach to digital marketing, discuss the brick-and-click model of purchase, explain offline lead generation, explain the challenge of offline attribution in an online world. Channel-centric versus customer-centric. A clear indication of digital maturity is whether the marketing team still talks about individual products, offers, and ways to promote them, or if they talk about customer needs and wants, segments, and personas. This also shifts communication from a traditional one-way monologue to a continuous conversation, often enabled through social media or user-generated content such as reviews and comments. It also changes desired outcomes from product units sold to customer lifetime value. Brick and click. An excessive focus on online sales can blur the overall business value of your website. This is a common scenario when customers research online but buy offline, ROBO for short. Consider cases where the website serves as a shopping outlet for offline purchase. Consumers shopping online but purchasing offline. In this case, product views can serve as a proxy of overall product interest. In drive-to-store scenarios, the website typically offers a store locator function. When the website primarily serves as a consideration experience, a build and price tool such as the car configurator found on automotive websites, the wireless bundle of a cell phone carrier, the dream trip planner of a travel website, measuring those should be a priority. Offline lead generation. In such cases where the outcome happens offline, the real challenge is how to track customers' progress through the funnel. Lead generation is a scenario where the complete funnel might span multiple systems in a longer time period, making it more difficult to track progress. The trigger point, the decisive factor, might be online, and the user may complete a web form. This information goes into a customer relationship management system, or CRM, and later an automated or human intervention will qualify and close the deal. Tying the online behavior to the actual outcome poses a new challenge, both from a technical integration standpoint and from a rigorous process involved in ensuring the data is reliable. Looking at each involved step in silo isn't ideal, but you need to start somewhere. Offline attribution. Digital analytics isn't an exact science. We often have to work with approximate data, proxies, and assumptions, which doesn't mean we shouldn't try to track offline conversions. Despite the challenge, some ongoing or punctual tactics can be used to close the loop on offline attribution. For example, you could use a dedicated phone line for web orders or ads, or track clicks on phone numbers from mobile. Online coupons redeemable offline can include a unique ID easily traceable back to their online source. Post-sale surveys bringing the user back to the site, presumably or hopefully from the same browser, with cookies or can be authenticated, is another way of gaining insight. Point cards are very effective in a powerful way to track individual consumer behavior online and offline. User authentication such as a phone number asked at the point of sale when recouped with an online user account can also be effective. But there's one method missing: Just ask your customers where they heard about you or what incentivized them to purchase. Simple, low cost, and can be part of a great customer service interaction. Leroy Merlin Italia, bridging the online-offline gap. Leroy Merlin Italia is a good example of the challenges of online and offline integration. Leroy Merlin is a major actor in the do-it-yourself market, targeting residents and homeowners with home improvement projects. Some products can be purchased online and delivered home, others need to be picked in store, and others can only be purchased in store. Stores automatically get credit either for online sales based on the consumer preferred store, click and pick, or of course in store. Another good example, the travel industry with tourism associations. They provide a wealth of information but can hardly know when tourists will actually experience their vacation. TravelAlberta.com, attribution almost impossible. Travel Alberta is another good example. TravelAlberta.com, as you might have guessed, is a website promoting the tourism industry in the beautiful province of Alberta in Canada. They do not sell anything. They generate traffic, qualified leads, to hotels, restaurants, and attractions by serving as an aggregator. As the Tourism Association, their mission is to promote tourism whether the visitors are using online or offline means. They know it works if the tourism industry is in good health and growing. On the website, their success is measured in part through visitor engagement, but ultimately, their goal is to send qualified traffic to their partnering association members. So they measure click-through, but also work closely with their partners to close the loop and get data about the leads they send and whether they close the deal. In order to do so, they looked into acting in a way similar to an ad network, where partners would put a special tag on their site which would allow Travel Alberta to track conversions down through actual bookings. Last time I worked with them, this was the intent and they were to conduct an experiment based on this concept. Key takeaways. The key takeaways from this offline lesson are: a consumer expects a consistent experience across all possible touchpoints and doesn't think in terms of channels, reinforcing the importance of organization to have a customer-centric rather than a channel-centric approach for digital marketing. You need to balance the focus on online and offline sales. The brick-and-click model is an approach of consolidating the offline and online presence of an organization. Offline lead generation is a common scenario where the complete funnel will span multiple systems and take longer time span, making it more difficult to track. Attribution of offline conversion is a challenge when the marketing spend are online. But there are some tactics which can be used to bridge the gap, at least partially. In section number 4, we look at the future of digital marketing, and we start with lesson 1, a peek into the future. We covered a lot of ground in this course, and in this lesson you will glean into what's coming up next for digital marketers and how you can position yourself to become an influencer within your organization. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to discuss business growth and benefits of digital marketing, discuss about what's next for digital marketing, discuss about career opportunities in the digital marketing industry, and discuss about the qualities of a digital marketing analytics leader. Business growth and benefits of digital marketing. Digital marketing offers numerous business growth opportunities. Here are a few potential areas. Digital marketing levels off the playing field. Small businesses have better chance of competing with established brands. Digital marketing is typically more cost-effective, generates more conversions, and has greater return on investment than traditional methods. The interactions with targeted audience are facilitated, and we're clearly heading to a mobile-first world. And finally, digital marketing contributes to the overall brand reputation. There are numerous benefits to digital marketing. Those points sums up a lot of what we've seen so far and a few more. Marketing effectiveness will come with precise targeting. So understanding your personas, your customer lifecycle, and your target audience. You want to increase customer satisfaction and experience. Think about the ultimate goals that we talked about. You want to increase customer retention. So it's good to acquire new customers, but don't forget about customer retention. We want to drive revenue through personalized offers. With digital marketing, you have the opportunity to have a one-on-one conversation with your customers. Digital data you collect will help you increase cross-sell and upsell opportunities. Those would be customer expansion opportunities. You want to be agile and efficient in the way you conduct your digital marketing. So experiment, try new things, and see which one works the best. You have the channels at your disposal, and you have digital analytics data to make sure that what you do is the most efficient and can be optimized. What's next in digital marketing? Most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 10 years, said Bill Gates. If we knew for sure what's coming up, we would be rich. But there are some strong signals. Digital marketing is data-driven. That's a given. Think of machine learning and AI. Funnels are dead. Linear paths to conversion are defunct. It's now a complex marketing ecosystem of owned, paid, and earned media. A culture of experiments where iterative improvements are preferred to grandiose ideas and where the cost of failure is minimized and seen as an opportunity to learn. Social engagement is key. Blasting your message through all channels simply won't work. Use ads or be genuinely engaged and adapt your communication to the specific attributes of each social media outlet. Digital marketing is a team sport and has grown to be too complex to be mastered by a single player or even only by the marketing team. To be successful, marketers need to gain IT skills and work closely with their counterparts in IT. The customer experience is becoming highly personalized. The whole customer experience can be tailored down to a segment of one. Marketing budgets will continue to shift toward digital, but the cost of digital marketing will also increase as more businesses embrace the concept of digital marketing. If we think about the future of digital marketing, we have to talk about big data and machine learning. How will big data and machine learning benefit digital marketers in the future? Automated data visualization, including machine learning results, will become more rich and user-friendly. Content analysis of text, lexical, or even pictures and videos will be used to drive better marketing conversations. Incremental machine learning techniques will become more prevalent, leading to real-time, not just ongoing and automated, but real-time changes in marketing execution. Learning from machine learning results will accelerate the growth and skills of marketing professionals. As the more basic task gets automated, the expectations will continue to rise, thus keeping pressure on marketers' ability to learn and adapt. Outlier.ai is a good example of a big data and machine learning startup which can be used by digital marketers. They are based in Silicon Valley and they are on a mission to find hidden opportunities in your data. In this example, we see a story of a trend emerging for ad spend for a Google campaign, which the system identified as being different from usual. So in this way, the system is able to connect to a cloud-based data source like Google Analytics or even your own database. The system automatically generates insights from the data and presents them as high-level stories which you can drill into. You can share and collaborate on those stories. And you can also explore on your own to do root cause analysis and investigations. So this is an example where maybe in the future you won't even need a dashboard to monitor how your digital marketing campaigns are evolving. You will let the system emerge and surface the stories where you should pay attention. Career opportunities in the digital marketing industry. As we mentioned previously, digital marketing is getting too complex to be handled by a single person or even only by marketing. This conceptual representation of the digital marketing dynamics can help you identify where you stand from an interest and skills standpoint. First, it always begins on the business side of things, with a strategy and goals which are communicated as business requirements and objectives to people who are able to make it possible. The enabling capabilities, the activation, represents those people who understand the technological possibilities and constraints of the solution, the information architecture, the data structure, and ways to collect and manage data. This, in turn, supplies the tools and the data so people with a strong analytical mindset, problem-solving skills, and an ability to simplify a wealth of information and communicate it effectively can provide actionable insight and recommendations back to the business. This team dynamic can only be achieved if people of various skills and experience work together. Individually, we tend to have one strong area, another where we can manage, and typically a third one where we have less interest or less abilities. Regardless of your leading dimension, you will have to balance the depth and breadth of your skills. Qualities of a digital marketing and analytics leader. The qualities of digital marketing and analytics leaders are often represented by the shape of the letter T. The best individuals have depth of knowledge in one specialist area and breadth of understanding across different business disciplines. Marketers need to have breadth of understanding, an ability to operate across disciplinary boundaries in a coherent and productive way with principles drawn from different disciplines. In our situation, this would be a broad understanding of marketing concepts, finance, management, as well as a broad understanding of the specific vertical industry of your organization. At the same time, they need to master a body of knowledge. Again, in our scenario, this could be digging deep into specific digital marketing tactics and a thorough understanding of the product portfolio of your company. Key takeaways. We conclude this lesson and this course with the following takeaways. Nurturing a digital culture implies change, adaptation, experimentation, and a keen eye on digital marketing trends. Digital marketing provides an opportunity to businesses of any size to access the mass market and compete with established brands. Find your sweet spot in the business activation analysis model and aim to be a leader in one area. Don't seek to be a pro at everything. Developing your breadth of understanding of marketing and your depth of knowledge in the digital marketing area can help you attain success in the area of digital marketing.